because we need to get Mike's Meltdown properly going on this. That bleeding picture of me. I keep objecting to it, but they don't see. I have no control over it. I can't even change the picture. It's nothing to do with me. Anyway, let's talk about Starmer because, there he was sitting in Munich, looking for all the world like the happiest pig in China. And I say that deliberately because, of course, Keir Starmer only likes to be abroad, doesn't he? He doesn't like to be at home because here at home, he gets exposed for what he is, which is a small-minded, petty, vindictive, nasty individual. Some people keep telling me that Keir Starmer is a good guy. I don't believe it. Some people keep saying, fundamentally he's not really a politician, but he's a good human being. No, I don't believe he is. Look at what happened over the weekend. The Sunday Times revealed on Sunday that Gabriel Pogrund, one of their finest journalists, and a guy that I know, not particularly well, but I know him, and I know him to be a very, very good and diligent journalist and one of the best in the country. He was smeared by a bunch of scumbags called Labour Together. Now, Labour Together is a think tank that was set up by Morgan McSweeney, who is, of course, the former chief of staff to Keir Starmer, was once described as Keir Starmer's brain, right? Because he's now gone. He had to resign as a result of recommending Peter Mandelson to Keir Starmer, despite the fact that he knew Peter Mandelson was still friends with convicted paedophile Jeffrey Epstein, right? Morgan McSweeney is also accused of running a kind of Downing Street boys club in which women were ignored, were treated badly, were kind of smeared themselves by misogynists who didn't like women, okay? There's a reason for that, by the way, which I don't have to explain to you. But it turns out that this group, Labour Together, under the auspices of a now Cabinet Office Minister, Josh Simons, spent a load of money trying to make out that these Sunday Times journalists were, because they were being critical of Keir Starmer and Labour, in need of being outed as Russian agents, in need of being outed because Gabriel happens to be a Jew. They started smearing them, casting aspersions, publishing papers, right? Pages and pages of deeply personal and false claims were made about one of the reporters. SNP's Westminster leader Stephen Flynn said Keir Starmer must sack the minister at the centre of this creepy spy scandal. He has serious questions to answer about his judgment. Tory party chairman Kevin Hollinrake says Labour Together's behaviour shows a worrying contempt for a free press. Well, we know that Keir Starmer doesn't want a free press. He doesn't like a free press because he doesn't want people being able to criticise him. After Starmer's attempts to deflect from the Mandelson-Epstein affair, the public will accept nothing less than full transparency. Labour Together paid US firm APCO £36,000 in 2023 to look into the backgrounds of Sunday Times reporters after the paper revealed details of £730,000 in undeclared donations to Labour, right? So this company APCO submitted a report called Operation Cannon, submitted in January 2024 when Keir Starmer was very much in charge of Labour. He sought to portray two Sunday Times reporters as part of a Russian campaign to sabotage Sir Keir Starmer's reputation. Now, don't tell me that Starmer didn't know about this. Don't tell me that Starmer isn't behind it. Don't tell me that Morgan McSweeney did this on his own and never told Keir Starmer. It tells you exactly how these lefties operate. They don't want you to be able to find out things about them. They don't want you to know that they took £730,000 in undeclared donations. They don't want you to know that they're up to their necks in sleaze and slime and ghastliness. So what do? They try and shut down the people who are doing the stories, bringing that information to you. And that, to me, shows you how absolutely and utterly ghastly these Labour people are, how utterly repugnant they are, and how they really feel about democracy. Cancelling elections, shutting down journalists, smearing newspapers with lies, trying for all they're worth to lock up people for tweets that they don't like, doing away with jury trials. Whatever next? Flooding the country with illegal migrants. It's a shocking state of affairs, ladies and gentlemen. And that's my meltdown for the day. And there we are, 9:34.